Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The question was raised just a few minutes ago, actually, about the vow to Srila Prabhupada that his initiated disciples have taken, and which is now kind of standard for the followers of Srila Prabhupada in the community of Vaishnavas. And that is the 16 rounds and the 4 regulative principles. Hi, Mahamantra. So that question's been raised, that, that's just Vaidhi Bhakti. That's devotional service according to rules and regulations. You reach a stage where you don't need that because you just love God. You don't need that. Well, it's more than just rules and regulations. It's a relationship. It's a relationship with the spiritual master and ultimately Krishna. So for someone who's taken a formal initiation, like, I don't know, the bond might not feel so strong for those that came after Prabhupada left and they took initiation from someone trying to act as a spiritual master, and many of them couldn't maintain that, and so there's a lot of confusion there of what this 16 rounds and these 4 regulative principles are. So it looks like it's just like a formality, but it's not. So I got initiation directly from Srila Prabhupada, and he asked me personally to please chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regulative principles. And I promised him I would do that. And that's the only thing he's ever asked. He's never asked anything else of me directly. So for me, it's a relationship with Prabhupada because he asked me to. So it's not a rule or a regulation, and no, it's a relationship. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. That's the Harinam, the Harinam initiation. Hare Krishna, as designed by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. You want a relationship with Prabhupada? Prabhupada isn't just like a good idea floating around out there. You want an actual relationship with it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Well, not everyone is going to, want to do that. So Krishna makes other arrangements. But that's the arrangement for me. Hare Krishna. And it's not just like a formality. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. It's a lifeline. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare. So I'm glad that was raised. I'm glad. I appreciate the devotee that threw that out there. That 16 rounds of 4 regular principles is just Vaidhi Bhakti. Oh yeah? No. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Different spiritual masters require different things, and they're empowered to give prescriptions. They're empowered to give prescriptions for different time, place, and circumstance. So, Bhaktisiddhanta, he required 64 rounds. The Prabhupada saw that wasn't possible in the West. It's just, life is very different than it was in India around the turn of the century. The 1900, not the 2000. So he prescribed 16 rounds. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, Madhu has a question here, he says, or a statement, he says, relationships can be broken if you don't have taste. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna. Yeah, like a marriage. People in the West. In India, not so much. And up until recently, it was never even heard of that, there would be divorce. In Prabhupada's time, he wasn't particularly attracted to his wife, and she wasn't very much inclined toward helping him in his spiritual life. She was just kind of happy to be at home, cooking and taking care of the children, and she wasn't interested really in the preaching of Bhaktisiddhanta and the appearance of Chaitanya. She wasn't really particularly. So he did it as a matter of duty, because if he could have, he would have left and just joined. But in India, it was unheard of at the time for, even if there was no taste in the marriage, out of a sense of duty, he stayed. And his father actually told him that. When his father was arranging the marriage, there was another woman that Prabhupada was really attracted to as a young man. He's like in his 20s, right? I want that one. That one looks like a lot more fun. I want that one. And his father said, no, if you take this one, she's a good girl, she's simple, you just stay with this one and do your married life. It'll be easier for you later to take up more spiritual activities. It'll be easier for you to, in other words, take sannyas and travel and preach. It was his father's vision for his son. So, yeah, if there's not much taste, in the West, we don't have those high standards. You just go to divorce court, and some people have been married and divorced, 5, 6 times. And they have children from all the different connections. So in the West, it's a little different. The social structure doesn't have so much integrity like that. It's very loose. This is a very materialistic society, and relationships are based on sense gratification. And when the sense gratification in a marriage is, then one of the partners or both of them, they'll try to find somebody else to get some sense gratification with, either a divorce or a mistress, or cheat on the marriage somehow like that, because it's for sense gratification. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a difficult situation when a spiritual master may not be particularly qualified to give taste and accepts a disciple. They can't give what they don't have. So it gets a little complicated. It can get complicated. The actual ceremony is kind of a formality. The actual initiation is when you accept someone within your heart. That's the actual initiation. So if someone accepts, say, Srila Prabhupada within their heart, even though they may have been initiated by someone who ended up being a pedophile or stole money and ran away with a Gurukul girl or something, which has happened, or got his head cut off, that's happened too. If they accept Srila Prabhupada within the heart, and there you go, 16 rounds, 4 regular principles. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. And the connection with Prabhupada is there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, because that's his prescription. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the medicine. Hare Krishna. And at first, it's not much taste in chanting, but after a while, it gets very sweet. Because the holy name is non-different from Krishna and is a transcendental sound vibration. And everything is there in Krishna's name, and especially the Mahamantra, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has put all his mood of separation and love in the mantra. He says, I put all my transcendental potencies. He's put everything in there. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the question came up in another session about, someone was asking, well, I chant Hare Krishna, if I count the rounds, it takes about 2 hours. So I don't like counting, because it kind of interrupts things, So I just chant for 2 hours straight and figure, well, I got the 16 done. So, okay, you're chanting Hare Krishna. Give you a round of applause for that. But Prabhupada, if you want a relationship with Prabhupada asks his followers and his disciples to chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regulative principles. Not just rules and regulation kind of thing, but it's a relationship with Prabhupada. If he asked for his shoes, or he asked someone to go to China and try to preach, or if he asked someone to make puffies at night, he used to like puffies with turmeric and salt at night, like popcorn. If he asked him to do that, is that a rule or a regulation? No, it's an expression of a loving relationship. I'd love to make puffies for you at night, Prabhupada. I'll go get your shoes. Where are your shoes? Oh, chant 16 rounds and 4 regular principles, that will make you happy? I'll do it. I'm going to do it for you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. By service, the taste comes. That's kind of understood in an Indian marriage. They don't get married because it was love at first sight, which is kind of what Prabhupada's father discouraged. He was feeling some attraction. He said, no, don't do it that way. Don't. Take the one that I'm finding for you, that, she'll serve you nicely, she'll have your children, she'll take care of your home, but don't do the love at first sight thing. Because that is for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay. Madhu, he's brought this topic up. He's good. He's so intelligent. Okay, so now he's saying, where does the relationship of following the 4 regs and chanting 16 rounds lead to? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. We don't approach Krishna directly, ever. That's not for us. We always approach through his devotee. So the chanting of the 16 rounds and the 4 regulative principles is a relationship with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, especially Prabhupada, is that devotee who's serving Krishna in pure ecstatic love of Godhead. So it doesn't lead anywhere. It is what it is. A relationship with Prabhupada. As much as him saying, where's my chutter? Or could you get me Bhagavatam Volume 1 off the shelf, please? Where does it lead to? Where does, the Prabhupada says, get me my chutter, and you go get his chutter, where does that lead to? It is what it is. It's service. It doesn't lead to anywhere. It's absolute. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. At first, a person may not understand that. So they just do it. It doesn't, the impersonalist will render service for a little while and then they don't need that anymore. That's the impersonalist. Prabhupada showed that one time. He was walking with, I think it was Brahmananda, and they were up on kind of an incline, and Brahmananda was helping support Prabhupada walking down the incline. Brahmananda's he's a big guy. He's giving physical support to Prabhupada, so he won't trip or something. And they get to the bottom of the hill, and Prabhupada pushes him away and said, "Thank you very much, I don't need you anymore." And he said, that's like the impersonalist. They'll practice something for a little while, and then I don't need it anymore. Hare Krishna. But this, I'm seeing, this 16 rounds and this 4 regular principles is devotional service. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the devotee that was saying, well, I just chant for 2 hours and, it's really pleasurable. I really like chanting. It's just wonderful. But when I have to count, it gets in the way. So what I'm thinking is, in that situation, it's wonderful, the person's chanting, there's no problem. And they have taste, or they wouldn't keep doing it. They're getting some kind of taste, whatever it is. Who knows? Are they actually remembering Krishna, or is it some kind of material thing in there too? Krishna, Krishna. What's going on there? I don't know. That's between them and the Lord. But I remember hearing a while ago, if the spiritual master asks, please, I'd like some water, and the disciple thinks, milk is better than water, it's more nutritious, I'll bring him some milk. And he comes with the milk. The spiritual master says, I wanted water. I didn't ask for milk, I asked for water. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, because Prabhupada has asked for this, and it is a relationship with him. This is the protection. This is the protection. It's devotional service. The most important devotional service. Spiritual master, relationship with him. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Krishna will correct me if I'm wrong. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada will correct me if I'm wrong. Hare Krishna. Okay, what's Madhu pulling out of a hat now? He says, so I have had a relationship with Srila Prabhupada my whole life. So where do I go after death? I have had a relationship with Prabhupada my whole life. How old are you? You mean, let's see, this is 2020, Prabhupada was preaching in the 70s. Oh yeah, maybe. Are you how old are you? Madhu. Hare Krishna, or are you speaking theoretically? Hare Krishna, Hare, someone has a relationship with Prabhupada their whole life. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, there's different ways to look at that question, because in one sense it's not one size fits all, and Krishna is completely independent, so there's always that aspect, there's always that aspect that Krishna is completely independent. Where do I go after death? Ask Ajamil. He was totally sinful. He never even did anything, 16 rounds, forget it. He was living with a prostitute, robbing and stealing to get money. I mean, kind of like a large percentage of the population in the West today. Anyway, at the time of death, he called out a name of the Lord, and he wasn't even calling for the Lord. It's like a tradition in India that you name your children after scriptural names, like the Bible, there's lots of Matthews and Thomases and Johns and Peters and Pauls and Lucases, and So he named his little son Narayan. At the time of death, he was a bad guy. They were coming for him to stand judgment with Yamaraj, like what was going to happen to him. And they were kind of scary, the figures that came for him with a rope and a noose. They were going to pull him out of the body. He was petrified. And he called out for his little son was playing there. Narayan! He went back to Godhead. So yeah, there's always that. And if someone wants to play roulette like that, then hey, Hare Krishna, good luck. But you don't have to wait till the time of death. I mean, the time of death is going to come, yeah. But why wait? You can do it now. You can experience transcendental loving relationship with the Lord and His devotee now. The time of death can be a piece of cake. Prabhupada said, you can surrender in a second, in a moment. But you won't. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these 16 rounds, boy, connection with Prabhupada. And don't forget the 4. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. What else do we have? Oh, okay, dyslexia. Manu says dyslexia. It was a general question. Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, that could be seen as a general question. If someone says, a hypothetical, I have a relationship with Prabhupada my whole life. Where do I go after death? It's like a hypothetical I. He could have said, if someone had. He said, but he was thinking if someone had, but he said, I had a relationship. Okay, I understand. Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying, because I don't think you're old enough. I mean, I think you're too old to have had a relationship with Prabhupada your whole life. Aside from the fact that you're eternal, but you know what I mean. Okay, 62. Okay, happy birthday. Many more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So there's always that, there's, where do I go to? And then at a formal initiation ceremony where someone takes a vow, it's like a marriage ceremony. When marriages are performed, it's the same kind of, fire sacrifice with the ghee and the grains and the banana and the whole thing. And then the initiation ceremony, when one takes a vow, a formal vow with a spiritual master. And then they promise to chant these 16 rounds of 4 regulative principles. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. There's the mantra there. Pundarikaksham. Purified or unpurified. If you remember the lotus-eyed Lord at the time of death, you're purified. If you're purified or you're not purified, if you remember. But again, why wait till the time of death? It could come at any moment. Just ask Parikshit Maharaj, he'll tell you. Why not now? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the way to do it is to do what Prabhupada has asked to do as a relationship with him. 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles. It's a service. It's not a rule or a regulation. It is a transcendental service, just as much as, could you please get my cheddar? Or I'd like puffies at night. It's a service. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. At least that's what I'm seeing as I struggle every day to try and chant the 16 and follow the 4 regulative principles. I struggle every day with it. Every day. And why bother? Just be happy, chant, chant whatever you want to, do whatever. No. It's my relationship with Prabhupada. It's my service. I really don't have any other service. What other service do I have? A temple president, pujari, book distributor. I don't have any other service. Too old for all of that anyway. Physically, it's like, wow, I got up today. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So that's nice. Thank you for raising that. And yeah, that could be, there's a lot more to be said about that. But I got rounds to the sewer backed up. I have to dig a ditch and put a new pipe in, and it's not raining, and the grass is up to the roof, and so it's, just practical things that have to be, there's the struggle, get chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Thank you, Madhu. That was fun. Hare Krishna. Govinda.